How does a father's behavior impact a son's trust for women? How does a father's influence send his son down the same path to prison? You'll find the answers to those questions and more coming up. Hey, it's John Finch with the Father Effect Movie, and in today's video, we go behind the walls of prison while we were making the Father Effect Movie. Here's Jose's story in a real, unedited, unplugged interview. Okay, let's do it. So, Jose, tell me about your dad.
About my dad. I can't really remember too much about it because we never really. We came from a family where we were doing a lot of moving around, and as growing up, we've never really had what other kids had. You know, we always wondered why we didn't have what they had as far as gifts on Christmas and stuff like that. But I can't say that he never did, that he never bought us anything for Christmas, because I remember one time that he actually did buy us something for Christmas. You know, but it's I mean.
What's the story on him? Was he around?
Was he around? He was working a lot, but I remember as a youngster, my mother would come. We would have to go look for him every once in a while. You know, I remember one time she came and we looked for him and he was at a bar. We had to go to a bar to find him, and you know, it was a lot of arguing going on, like at the house whenever he would be home, and it just. Like it was said earlier, it became as a normal thing, you know, to see the arguing and the fighting all the time, you know, and a lot of it would come from my dad would accuse my mother of cheating on him, and he would actually take me with him, and this was already around the age of 12, 13, and we would sit in the car and we'd wait outside of her job, and he brought some bearings with him and a slingshot, and you know, this is what I was learning, you know, as a young guy. I didn't think nothing bad about it. I thought it was fun at the time, you know, because you know my dad said, well, here, look, we're gonna break these windows to this car, and you know, had me doing some, you know, writing my name down. Like he would rip up a bunch of pieces of papers and write our names down, and we'd tear it up and throw it to the ground, you know, around the guy's car. And I didn't think nothing about it, you know. I'm just, okay, what are we doing? I just thought it was a game. And later on down the line, I started seeing that with my dad, you know, things was just, it wasn't right. You know, I felt that it wasn't right because I seen my mother cry too much, and I started getting older, and I know it started bothering me, but I had got used to it. So now I started acting out toward my mom, you know, because of what happened. I guess you could say we could relate that to what happened with my father, as far as him allowing me to do things that I already done and witnessed. I began to think that it was all right to be the way that I was, you know, violent or, you know, rude, disrespectful to my mother, and.
So you saw that in him. So that was because your old man treated your mom in a certain way, abusive or whatever. You thought, man, that's.
I believe that gave me the okay to do it. I believe it gave me the okay to do it.
We've got exciting news. We are taking the Father Effect movie and books into prisons. If you'd like to know more about how you can get involved and help change the lives and legacies of these inmates, please go to thefathereffect.com.
And just right around the age of 15, my father got sent to prison, and he got 25 years. And okay, let me rewind a little bit. I was always wondering why we didn't have what everybody else was having, you know, the shoes, and you know, I always wanted to go buy new shoes and stuff like that, but we couldn't afford it. And maybe once my dad took me to the mall to buy me a shirt or two, you know, some polo shirts, but there was a reason behind why he did it, and I didn't know until later on, you know, why the reason was, you know, because he was feeling guilty of something that he did. And I don't really want to talk about that one. I don't want, you know, but So that's the reason why he got the 25 years. But for what, just...
Let me ask you this. Did you think, well, let me ask you this question. How much of an influence and impact of the way your father was as a husband, how did that shape you?
As a husband.
As a man.
As me growing up?
Yeah, and
well,
wait, yeah, just go.
I understand. I got together with the mother of my children around the age of 16. We started dating. And I never knew how to be a husband or a dad, you know, a boyfriend, much less, because every time I would get into a relationship, I would think that she would be cheating on me, and I would start accusing her of cheating on me. And, you know, I never had that trust. I never grew up with the trust of being able to trust a woman. And
that came from
being, you know, from my dad. You know, I believe that's where it came from seeing him do it. So it just grew on me. It just was coming out naturally, you know, and I became abusive as well. You know, I would hit the mother of my children. After she had my little girl, I got to the point well, my dad used to whoop on us when we were little, and you know, he would whoop us pretty bad. And you know, I guess those growing up the Hispanic, that's how they were whooping their children. You know, they were putting a beating on them, extension cords, and you know, but I became the same way my father was to my children. The way he was to me, I became the same way to my children. I remember one time my little girl, Faith, she's now 10 years old, she said something to me, and she got me so angry that I swung back and hit her in the mouth. And you know, and I felt bad. I didn't think of it, and it didn't cross my mind then that I was doing something wrong until now. As I got older, I'm 28 now. Having my daughter, I was 18 when we had our daughter. I have 3 children, and as far as how it made me in a relationship-wise, after I got with the mother of my children, I didn't know how to be a husband, how to be a father. I tried to work. I thought that by working, I was doing the right thing, and going out and drinking and staying out late, 10 o'clock at night, that was doing the manly thing, because I never knew. Nobody showed me how to be a father, or how I was supposed to be a manly type of person. I never witnessed that. And getting the how I could say, getting the idea from seeing the people that I worked with that were older than me and watching them do it, you know, getting drunk, and you know, I started leaning on them and following them, you know, tagging along to them, because I didn't have nobody to show me when I was younger. And you know, I've come to understand at the same time, I've learned about forgiveness because of that. I understand that he wasn't in his right mind at the time either. You know, he was going through some things. You know, he was fighting some demons that he had in himself. And I can never say that he was doing drugs or anything like that, but I can say that he was drinking. I remember one time he came in stumbling, you know, and I didn't know nothing about it. I was sleeping on the floor. You know, we would all sleep on the floor. We stayed in the trailer home, and we slept on the floor. He came in stumbling. One thing I also remember, as far as me coming into guns and stuff like that, I'm trying to see if it has anything to do with it, because when I was younger, I remember my dad and my uncle. My uncle came to the house with a pretty big gun, and I didn't know what kind of gun it was. I just knew it was a gun. I remember he accidentally hit my mother with it on the head. You know, he was playing with it, and he accidentally hit her. You know, he apologized. It was an accident. We stayed in a 2-story home on Sheldon Woods.
Make sure that light's still on.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
We stayed in a home in Sheldon Woods, 2-story home, and I came upstairs looking for him, and he was outside sitting on the roof with the gun. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm watching them people right there, next door, the neighbors. So then I didn't know what he was doing, but now that I think of it, he was probably on drugs or paranoid or something, you know, because I've done drugs and I felt that paranoid feeling. So just thinking back and seeing how he was in the position he was, I've seen myself do that. And I mean, I can't say that led me to get comfortable to be around guns, but you know, it didn't help me.
Okay. So tell me, what are the bad things you learned from your father?
The bad things, learned how to be violent, learned how I got a little racist from what he had told me, so far at growing up. And I've got rid of the racism though. It also came with me, joining a gang while I was in prison. So that kind of came with it. But when I released myself, I got rid of that. But got violent, racism, abuse, not stable. I wasn't stable because I never learned how to be stable.
Do you think the fact that he went to prison, was there any part of that was just kind of following in his footsteps? That's just what you thought a man, that was part of a man's way of life? What do you think a little bit about that?
Being in prison, him going to prison, I didn't want to follow in his footsteps as far as to what he went to prison for. But at a young age, I did see myself going to prison because I knew that the life that I was beginning to live, the going out and the drinking, the doing drugs, and eventually led me to commit crimes because I didn't have nobody else. My mother didn't have enough money to support us, 6 children, after my dad went to prison because it happened so fast. I went out and committed crimes, started robbing stores and stuff like that. I don't know if that kind of relates to it.
No, and in the sense that, I guess, and you've told a great story, I think, in terms of, I saw my father doing this, so that's what I thought was what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
So that's a great message because it speaks to that generational curse and that modeling thing. That, unless you see it, you don't know what other than what you've seen growing up. And that could be good or bad one way or the other, but if your dad's this way, most likely you're going to grow up the same way because of that.
I blamed a lot of the stuff that I was doing on the fact that my dad wasn't there because I didn't have nobody to lead me, and I felt like I had to fend for myself now, and that I was the man of the house, and I didn't know how to be the man of the house. So my being man of the house was screaming to my sister, "Stay home, where y'all going? You stay inside." And when I would see them argue, I'd go over there and hit them because that's what I seen, and I felt like that was the only way I could get them apart was to hit them. But it was all done out of brotherly love. We still have a strong bond together, and they actually thank me for that now because I taught them how not to fight family, which they still get into little arguments here and there, but all the violent stuff and inside the family has left. But
let me ask you, what do you wish your dad had done differently?
I wish he would have been there. I actually was trying to get a correspondence here to write him, so I could talk to him, to clear up some of the wounds that come from the father, the empty father wound. I actually wanted to get in touch with him. Can you repeat that question again?
What is the one thing you wish your dad would do differently?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just messed up.
What he have done differently?
Let me ask you again. What's the one thing you wish your dad would have done differently?
I wish he would have, cared. Showed me love. Let me know that I was somebody, and show me how to fend for myself. Without me having to go do it on my own and doing it the wrong way. Because I seen that he was working. He did work. I could say that he did keep a job, and that we always had food. Well, when he was there, we always had food. When he left, it was hard. It was struggling, and show me how to be a father, so that I could be a father for my children. Because I haven't been there for my children in over 5 years, coming in and out of the system, and trying to do the right thing by doing wrong. As far as stealing and selling drugs or whatnot, and I did wish he would have showed me how to love.
Tell me, and just walk back through it real briefly, and just from a sentencing standpoint, I mean, just from a speaking standpoint, that if you can, in the thought process, say, I thought something, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said it good a while ago, but I'm trying to connect the two, and that how you saw your father treat your mom gave you approval, if you will,
yes,
that you could do the same thing to women and even your mom.
I didn't see nothing wrong with it. I thought that I was playing the manly role. I thought that that's the way a man was supposed to be towards his wife, and the wife was just supposed to bow down to him, you know, for whatever he did. Go do this, and she was supposed to go do it. And even it just recently stopped between me and my mother, because I've changed my life around. It just recently stopped, and that I would scream at her, you know, and she would always try to help me out. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm trying to get her to do, because I haven't been able to provide for myself for a long time, because I had an addiction. I got addicted to drugs, and I was fighting some demons myself. I didn't know how to fend for myself then, and that's when I fell off the face of the earth for a while, and until now. But even when she would let me in her home, I would try to tell her what to do, you know, and that she was supposed to listen to me. But when I think back and look at it now, you know, I shouldn't have been that way. You know, I didn't know how. It took me a long time. It took a long time for me to see how life was supposed to be and what it really was about.
All right. You're doing good, brother.
Thank you.
Very good, man. Awesome. Okay, 2 more questions. If you could say one thing to your father right now, what would it be?
I would ask him, why did it have to be that way, and why couldn't he have been the man and chose right from wrong then to show us how to live our life, you know, so that we can grow up as a family, you know.
What do you think the best thing about being a father?
The best thing about being a father is wanting to hug the children, just the look on their faces, you know, and them looking up to me now, calling me, and still calling me their daddy after that. I haven't been there for so long. Just like I still call him my dad, and I had to learn to forgive him, you know, for the things that he did. And now that I look at my children, I don't want to miss that no more. I don't want to ever lose that. I've wasted too much time, and now I'm ready to come home. I'm ready to come home and be a father, even though me and the mother are not together. And just like my mom and my dad are not together, and I had to learn that, you know, maybe it's not meant for me and her to be together, but we still have beautiful children together, and I want to come home and take care of my family. Just growing up without a father, without my dad, I'm just gonna talk to you normal now. Growing up without my dad, man, I grew into the party life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even while he was there, I would do a little drinking and come home, you know, a little drunk and try to hide it. I think he probably knew what I think he probably knew, but didn't say nothing, because I think he was trying to hide his own stuff, you know. And I guess he was willing to let me do what I wanted to get away. And you know, I staying out, the partying, the drinking, eventually led to me, you know, wanted to do bigger things, as far as, you know, committing crimes to get money, because I wanted to have money in my pocket. And that was the thing going on back then. And listen to music. I loved to listen to the music. The music, you know, just enabled me to go a little further, you know, because I wanted to be like the people that were singing the music, you know, the rappers. That's who I would look up to, because there was nothing for me to look up to at home, because it was boring, you know, or at least I thought it was. But there was a lot of secrets going on that I didn't know about, you know, and keeping me outside, you know. So I looked for comfort there, and I found comfort. I got comfortable with them, and eventually we went out, and around 2000, the year 2000, you know, I was about 15, 16 years old, and a couple friends of mine, you know, we were at his house, and a friend come over, and he found some guns in his dad's boombox. You know, they found some guns in a boombox, and another friend of mine just so happened to buy a shotgun. So we talked about, you know, getting some money, and he's like, man, you want to go rob some stores? I said, I said, it don't matter. I said, let's do it. You know, I got to that point where I was willing to do whatever. You know, I thought I was down. I was being down. I was keeping it real. You know, that was the street. That was the street way of living. You know, especially I wasn't growing up. I didn't feel like I had a dad at home, so I was keeping it real, just being true to my friends. You know, because that was my family now, and so we went out robbing stores, and about four stores later, ended up getting caught. Almost miraculously, by God's grace, that nobody got hurt on the first one, because we actually had a friend of mine had to, you know, shoot at some people, you know, to get away. And I'm 16 years old and thinking this was all fun. You know, I was kind of scared, but when we got away, I was like, man, you know what, we could do this again. You know, I woke up the next day, and the next day I thought it was a dream, waking up with the money, you know, in my shoe, because back then I was having dreams that I would wake up with money, and I'd look, and it was gone. Well, this time I looked in my shoe, and the money was there. I was like, man. And as soon as I woke up, my friends come knocking on the window. Hey, man, let's go to the mall, man. Let's go to the mall. I said, man, let's go. I said, let me go. I'm going to ask my aunt to take us. So I asked my aunt to take us. We ended up going to the mall and spending the money. And that's how you know, the stuff that I couldn't get from my dad, I ended up getting it for myself. But at this time, my dad was already gone. He already went to prison, probably about a few months later down the road. So the stuff that my mother couldn't provide for me, because we were struggling with the money, and she was working at restaurants at the time, you know, because of her legal status here, and so I bought my first pair of Jordans with that, because that's what everybody was getting, and I wanted the same thing. And you know, I thought I was doing the right thing, or at least I thought I was being a man. I was like, man, this is how it's supposed to be. You know, I didn't think I was being a man, but I knew I was doing what I wanted to do, and I was getting what I needed, or I thought I needed. So it later on went down the line to you know, getting the violent part. You know, at this time I started growing up, and we ended up, you know, a lot of the fighting was going on, and it was to the point where people would look at each other, and you know, you look at you the wrong way, man, what you looking at, you know, or if you didn't say nothing, you felt like you was being, you know, being punked or whatever. And you know, and we wanted to be men back then. You know, man, it was the manly thing to do, was to look at the guy and say, what's up? What you looking at? You know, what you talking about? And right then, the other guy already knew, hey, man, we finna fight, you know, because he ain't gonna back down and I ain't gonna back down, and we already know what's gonna happen after this, and that's what it is. We ended up, you know, just going at it, going a few rounds or two. Are you good? All right, we're good. And shook hands and walked away. And it was stupid, because the way we were living like that, and it was a thing to do back then. That's how everybody was growing up. And man, you know, I gotta thank God, because I went down the line. I was doing so much cocaine at a young age that I didn't realize I was getting addicted to it. I ended up selling cocaine, and I started getting addicted, a little more addicted to it. One day, me and my cousin would snort a half an ounce of cocaine in 2 days, and that was not normal, because it just wasn't normal. And I didn't know I was addicted. Like I said, I didn't. And a friend of mine came one day. We ran out of cocaine, and I ended up doing. He said, "Man, let's try some of that crack cocaine." So we tried the crack cocaine, and I didn't feel nothing. I didn't feel nothing, you know, that first time, and a few more times after that, you know, I wanted to do it myself, you know, and I didn't even know I was hooked in. I had the taste coming down my mouth, and I went and did it by myself, and I ended up that's how I started to fall off, and just lost myself in the world because of the drugs, and it got to the point where that's how I lost my family, I lost my kids because of that. You know, and not just that just added along to the fact that I was already abusive, you know, to my wife, you know, leaving, cheating all the time, and you know, not take care of my business like I was supposed to. Now I would stay out late at night, and my baby mama would call me, hey, I need some milk for the baby, and she was just a baby, you know, still sipping Similac, and I'm like, I'm so messed up on drugs, I couldn't even get in my car because I was so paranoid. And this is why I relate to my father when he was sitting on the roof with the gun, because the paranoid feeling, I seen that he was paranoid. I'm like, and I'm thinking, man, I bet that's when my dad was on drugs back then, because the way he was. And So I couldn't even walk out my car because I felt like something was gonna attack me or someone was gonna attack me. You know, the paranoid, the demons that I was talking about, that I know that are real. You know, I know the demons are real because once we get into that spiritual world, the demons start to show themselves to us, to me, or to whoever's fighting the demon at the time. Other people can't see it unless there's, you know, got the spiritual vision. You know, and we know, you know, we won't know what's going on. Know about the other, you know about by heaven and hell and stuff like that, about the good and the evil. And well, I got so messed up on it, man. I started losing everything. It got to the point where I would be out I would stop leaving home. I already had me and my baby mama split up, and I just started staying out. Didn't even have nowhere to go no more because my mom didn't want me home because she knew what I was doing, because she would catch me smoking in the restroom, and I was trying to be slick about it, you know, and I was sitting there looking under the doors because I was so paranoid, trying to see, thinking she was coming, and I'm stupid, you know, stupid, you know what I mean? And you know, after all this, while I'm going through this drug addiction, this is when I started to catch my snap, because I knew that that's not who I was supposed to be. Something inside was telling me, this is not you. And I knew, God, why am I like this, God? Why am I going through this? And the only thing that I could hear was, well, you did it to other people, because I hurt people's families when I would sell them drugs, and I would pawn their toys, you know, their PlayStations and stuff like that for a dime or a 20. So I knew that it was happening to me. You reap what you sow. I knew it was happening to me, but I knew it wasn't gonna last long, you know. And it's been about 7 years, but during all this time, that's when I started realizing all the stupidity that I did, and I started realizing that where my father was kind of coming from, you know, the demons part, as far as that, well, I could actually forgive him for, you know, the things that he did, because I knew that he wasn't in his right mind, because I wasn't in my right mind, and I was out there doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And you know,
and it's the same thing too, and I didn't ask you this, I don't think, but the idea that, I don't know if you knew what his father was like. Most likely
I didn't. He probably went through the same thing.
Probably the same thing. So it takes you young guys saying,
break the curse.
No more, man.
Break the curse.
Yeah, that curse is broken, and I'm taking my legacy as a father and as a man down a different path.
And I just want to finish with this. I gotta thank God that during this time I called out to God, crying to Him. Like my brother said earlier, they were sitting here. He said that you know, God started showing me, you know, that's not the way you're supposed to live. That's not you. So I started calling out to God, and I knew, and it took for me to come a few times. You know, I've been in state jail for about 2.5 years. You know, I've probably been out for about three months. I've been in and out 2.5 years 3 times. You know, when I finish here, it's gonna be 2.5 years. I did a 9-month piece, and when I got out for the 9 months, when I was here for the 9 months, I tried to get into the Word, you know, and I was trying to look for God and all that, but I was still straddling the fence. I was still trying to live, you know, part of the gang life and part of God. And there's no way that God says either you're gonna be in or you're out, or you hot or cold, or I'll spew you out my mouth, you know, like lukewarm water, or you know, and. So, you know, I knew what I was doing wrong. I knew I was doing wrong, but I knew that I had to stop that. I just wasn't strong enough to stop that yet. You know, I wasn't man enough to stop that because I didn't know how to be a man. And I thought I was being a man. You know, it was confusing, but I knew what I had to do. And I got out for that. I stayed out for 3 weeks. I went to Harris County for a assault on a family member. You know, a girlfriend that I had, and you know, we got into an argument, and I tried to fight it, but naturally I went back to my old instincts, to the old way of living, the old way that I knew, and you know, got a little abusive. And I went in for 2 months, and I came back out. I stayed a week out, and I went back to the crime, and you know, to stealing, to breaking into cars in the house, and I came back for 6 months. During the 9 months that I stayed out, I got shot on the side right here. When I got out for the 9 months, I got shot on the side during that 3-week period I stayed out before I went in for the 2 months for the assault. I got out for that for a week, and I came back in for 6 months. After I got out for the 6 months, I got shot in my back for going back to the same thing and I never went to the hospital for none of them, but I knew God was on my side because I was still able to walk and I was still breathing. And this is how God got my attention, finally got my attention, because I know that if I go out there again to live the same life, I'm gonna die, because the way that I am when I'm not living my normal life, when I'm not living the way God wants me to live, I'm doing the devil's work, and that does nothing but open the door for me for hell. And I was already close, so I know if I go back, I'm just gonna start off right where I left, and I'm just gonna get deeper, and that's it for me. And I know this in my heart. So, you know, I gotta thank God that He opened my eyes. He finally opened my eyes to this, and I've made peace with my mom since I've been here this time. I made peace with her. She actually started telling me stories about her past, which we never opened up to each other like that. But I prayed. I said, God, let me have a relationship with my mom. I just want to be the brother, the son, and the mother, the brother, the son, and you know that to my family, and the father to my children, you know, that I never was. And it started open, and God started showing me, you know, just stay with me and you get all this back. Sincere heart, because God accepts a contrite, a broken spirit, and my spirit was broken when I accepted God. And ever since then, and I ran into the pastor in Harris County, my heart has just been soaking it in, and I started leaving the old past behind, and I started getting a lot of forgiveness towards people in general, you know. And I realized that it's all about love, like my brother says. It's all about love, and that's where I'm at now. And I just got to thank God for that. And I'm ready for the next level, and I thank God for that. You know, He opened my heart.